Je m'appelle Camille, j'ai 34 ans et je vis avec mon mari, Lucas, qui est un an plus âgé que moi, et notre fille, Léa, qui va bientôt avoir 5 ans. Nous sommes une famille de 3 personnes. Pour une raison quelconque, je me retrouve souvent dans des situations difficiles ces dernières années. D'exemple que quand elle aille marcher. Elle changeait d'avis constamment, voulant marcher seule un moment et être portée le suivant. Je me dépêchais de rentrer à la maison depuis le supermarché en gérant ses caprices. Soudain, une femme qui marchait vers nous nous a arrêtés, affirmant que mon enfant avait marché sur son pied alors que nous passions à côté d'elle. J'étais choquée et je me suis excusée, mais la femme n'était pas satisfaite. Elle m'a dit de ne pas laisser mon enfant marcher seul si je ne pouvais pas la contrôler. Essayant de garder mon calme, je continuais de m'excuser, mais elle a commencé à demander de l'argent pour nettoyer ses chaussures et pour des soins médicaux pour son pied. Cependant, j'avais fait attention à tenir la main de ma fille vers moi pour éviter de heurter la femme qui marchait droit vers ma fille. J'étais réticente à payer, sentant quelque chose de louche, et les gens ont commencé à s'arrêter et à nous regarder car il commençait à faire soir et la rue était assez animée. Devais-je appeler la police? Une lycéenne au visage gentil s'est proposée pour aider, juste au moment où Lucas, qui rentrait à la maison, m'a appelé de derrière.
Camille, que se passe-t-il?
Alors que je commençais à expliquer la situation à Lucas, la femme est partie rapidement, peut-être réalisant qu'elle était désavantagée maintenant que mon mari était là.
C'est une bonne chose que je sois rentré à temps aujourd'hui. Tu as vraiment eu de la malchance.
En effet, je suis contente que tu sois là, Lucas. Merci. À notre oui, c'est souhaite par 10. C'était un matin de vacances et j'ai laissé Léa avec Lucas pour aller à la boulangerie. Yet, une femme est apparue comme si elle m'attendait et a insisté pour que je lui donne ce que j'avais acheté. Lucas me suivait par hasard car Léa l'avait supplié de le faire et il est arrivé juste à temps pour la repousser. C'est effrayant. Je suis tellement contente que Lucas soit venu.
Tu as vraiment de la malchance, Camille. Je ne peux pas toujours être là pour t'aider, alors fais attention.
Je me retrouve souvent suivie par des femmes étranges, mais je me sens très rassurée d'avoir Lucas pour les repousser courageusement. Aujourd'hui, je conduis chez mes parents. Lucas aime Léa et moi, et nous sortons généralement en famille, mais malheureusement, il doit rester à la maison cette fois-ci. Chaque année, nous passons le réveillon du Nouvel An chez mes beaux-parents, puis nous rendons visite à mes parents, mais le travail de Lucas s'est accumulé et nous avons dû reporter notre visite, donc Léa et moi y allons seuls. Je parle à ma fille assise sur son siège rehausseur. Je l'ai attachée au siège avant pour aujourd'hui. Léa, papa manque à l'appel, hein? Grand-mère a dit qu'elle avait acheté beaucoup de fraises parce qu'elle sait que toi et papa les adoraient. Est-ce que grand-mère nous en donnera pour en emporter à la maison? Bien sûr, si Léa ne les mange pas toutes. Notre trajet de fille est rempli de discussions sur Lucas. Après avoir conduit pendant un moment, nous avons garé la voiture sur le parking d'une supérette.
Nous sommes allés aux toilettes et avons acheté du jus d'orange et un petit sac de biscuits qui sont les snacks préférés récents de ma fille. Elle prévoit de les partager avec grand-père et les tient soigneusement alors que nous retournons à la voiture. Elle prévoit de les partager avec grand-père et les tient soigneusement alors que nous retournons à la voiture.
Léa, tu veux boire un peu de jus maintenant? C'est dangereux de le faire pendant que la voiture est en mouvement.
J'ai parlé à ma fille avant de boucler sa ceinture de sécurité sur son siège rehausseur. Cependant, ma fille secoue la tête en disant que les biscuits sont un cadeau pour papa et le jus est pour maman. Je suis contente de sa prévenance et je lui offre de l'eau que j'ai apportée de la maison à la place. Après lui avoir donné à boire, je me réinstalle sur mon siège, prête à partir, quand je remarque que mon lacet est défait.
Oh, attends une minute, chérie. La chaussure de maman était sur le point de tomber.
Je sors de la voiture pour refaire mon lacet. J'en profite également pour étirer mon corps fatigué du long trajet avant de retourner dans la voiture où je trouve ma fille en train de regarder quelque chose dans ses mains en silence.
Léa?
Quand je l'appelle, je vois qu'elle tient la caméra de bord.
Elle est tombée.
Elle a joué avec une rôle sur le trajet en de voiture d'aujourd'hui à double vitesse. Psst.
Je t'ai dit que ce n'est pas un jouet.
J'essaie de l'arrêter, mais j'appuie sur le mauvais bouton, car je ne vérifie généralement pas les images. L'image change et Lucas apparaît sur le petit écran.
Oh, j'ai fait une erreur, papa est là-dessus. Mais je me demande quand c'était.
Alors que je regarde l'écran d'un air détaché et que je cherche un autre bouton, un homme inconnu entre dans la voiture sur la vidéo. Et c'est la conversation qui suit est choquante.
Que signifie cette conversation?
J'arrête la lecture et suggère à ma fille de faire une petite pause en mettant un DVD d'animé qui est encore dans le système de navigation. Après avoir confirmé qu'elle regarde joyeusement son animé préféré, je joue nerveusement à nouveau la vidéo à la caméra de bord, écoutant la conversation entre Lucas et un homme inconnu un jour où il était censé être au travail. Après avoir tout regardé, je change notre destination de la maison de mes parents pour la station de police la plus proche et j'y cours. Un policier surpris vérifie la vidéo de la caméra de bord avec moi et conseille qu'il n'est pas encore temps d'agir, mais suggère que je prenne la situation au sérieux et que je me réfugie chez mes parents pendant un certain temps. On me dit de les consulter si quelque chose change, et je me dirige vers la maison de mes parents, avec le cœur troublé. À l'origine, nous avions prévu de rester 2 nuits pour coïncider avec l'école maternelle de ma fille, mais après avoir expliqué la situation à mes parents, nous continuons à rester. Au fil des jours, les messages de Lucas s'accumulent, mais je suis le conseil de mon père et je ne réponds pas. Une fois que tout est prêt, je choisis le moment où Lucas devrait être rentré du travail et je l'appelle. Je lui dis j'ai quelque chose à discuter et je l'invite dans un restaurant appartenant à un ami de mon père que nous avons réservé pour le soir.
Le soir, Lucas ouvre la porte d'un restaurant où seul un panneau réservé est affiché et semble un peu soulagé quand nos regards se croisent. Mais il semble bientôt perplexe que ce ne soit que mon père et moi et que notre fille ne soit pas avec nous. Il prend place sur l'insistance de mon père, mais il n'y a aucun signe de personnel et même pas d'eau servie. L'atmosphère étrange semble rendre Lucas un peu nerveux et il regarde autour de lui.
L'atmosphère étrange semble rendre Lucas un peu nerveux et il regarde autour de lui en tremblant. Je n'ai pas le temps de remarquer de telles choses et d'une voix presque tremblante, je dis à Lucas.
I have no room to notice such things, and with a voice that's almost trembling, I say to Lucas.
Please divorce me.
Lucas, suddenly confronted with a demand for divorce, shows confusion and refusal, apparently having no idea why.
A divorce? What's going on all of a sudden? Did I do something? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I already feel fear just facing Lucas like this, and I can't look him straight in the eye. But I've asked my father to watch over us as much as possible, as I want to talk to Lucas myself to make him understand. Feeling my father's watchful gaze, I pull my mobile phone out of my pocket.
Can you look at this?
The dashcam footage from the car is displayed on it. Lucas starts watching the video with a puzzled look, and when he realizes what it is, he falls silent. In the quiet restaurant, the conversation between Lucas and an unknown male plays from the mobile phone.
You really don't have to hit her. Just threaten her a bit, and she'll easily get scared.
What if you really hit her?
Don't worry, you can do that. I'll join you later and invite you to dinner. So, just approach her in the family restaurant's parking lot. When Camille takes out her mobile phone, or you grab her collar, I'll run in like I just arrived.
Lucas in the recording occasionally smiles but continues to talk seriously. This man who is instructing an unknown male to attack my daughter and me, and even planning the scenario where he comes to our rescue is my husband sitting right in front of me. Realizing this again, I finally start to tremble. Moreover, from the conversation, I understand that this wasn't the first time my husband had instructed someone to harass us. In fact, the strange women who had bothered us before were also sent by Lucas, all part of a scheme to raise his own stock by conveniently rescuing us in our time of need. Recently, we had started to get used to being harassed by women, even imitating Lucas's method of repelling them. So now he had sent a man to save us from even greater fear, apparently to further boost his reputation. From the footage, I knew that the plan was for the day we were to return from our visit, so we had been staying at my parents' house all this time. Lucas finishes watching the video in silence, then rests his chin on his hand deep in thought. Seeing that he doesn't move, my father quietly opens his mouth.
Do you have anything to say?
Then Lucas slowly lifts his face and lets out a thin sigh.
Camille, what are you trying to do by creating this video? Father-in-law, this is a fabrication. The voice does sound like mine, but I don't know this man and the content is baseless. Come to think of it, you've been harassed by strange women before. You must be having some weird delusions from stress. I should have been more careful with you.
Lucas bows his head slightly to my father. I exchange glances with my father and sigh.
We will submit this footage as evidence to the police.
Lucas has always been kind to us, but there have been many times when I felt he was just putting on a facade. So I expected him to try to deceive us somehow and win over my father, and that's exactly what happened. Hearing my clear declaration, Lucas's attitude changes instantly.
The police? Don't mess with me. Are you trying to ruin my life?
With a loud crash, the chair falls over. Lucas, who has stood up, draws back his fist to strike me. The moment I braced myself, my father and his friend, who had been hiding and waiting, grabbed Lucas and restrained him. More men who were hiding in the restaurant appeared one after another, and Lucas quickly became subdued due to their overwhelming presence. Actually, the reason we chose this restaurant for the discussion was at my father's suggestion, and the owner, who is a friend of my father's, had offered to help. The owner, a retired police officer who opened the restaurant, is not only strong himself, but also has many well-built acquaintances. In case Lucas tried to carry out his plan in front of my father and send the male to attack, they were ready to subdue Lucas even before he made his move. And they were also prepared to act as witnesses to make the divorce proceedings go smoothly. I am truly grateful to everyone who helped me, as I had never been subjected to violence before, and wouldn't have been able to respond on the spot. Afterward, Lucas, surrounded by my father's friends, reluctantly signed the divorce papers I presented to him, unable to resist or deceive any longer. I later reported Lucas's behavior during our discussion to the police, but contrary to my expectations, their response was slow. Since I wasn't actually hit, and the only evidence of Lucas's planned scheme was the dashcam footage, and it was also an attempted crime, there was no satisfactory result from the consultation. Given the difficulty of explaining the victimization and the fact that it was an incident between a married couple, I was unable to obtain a satisfactory result from the consultation, even though I was able to get a divorce. Furthermore, I was given the runaround, having to explain the same situation to different officers, and finally being told to consult at the police station in my home jurisdiction. Completely worn out, I gave up and decided to return to my parents' house. As I was about to open the door to my parents' house in despair, I was pulled back with great force. Stumbling and turning around, I found Lucas standing there.
If you two just come back, everything will be back to normal. I won't tolerate any more selfishness.
Lucas forcefully pulled me, trying to get me into his car. As I shouted and resisted desperately, my mother, suspicious of the noise, came out to see what was happening. Then Lucas, noticing her, went into the house without even looking at her, and tried to take our daughter. As my daughter and I were about to be forcibly shoved into the car and we resisted along with my mother, a neighbor must have called the police, and an officer arrived. But Lucas, either already enraged or unafraid, struck the approaching officer, trying to calm him down. As a result, he was arrested for assault, violent behavior, and obstruction of law enforcement. And we had to visit the police station again that day to explain the situation. Although we were released immediately, Lucas would probably be in police custody for about 10 days. So, I hurriedly arranged the move I had been planning and applied for personal information protection at the city office. My parents also decided to give up their home, whose location was known, and move to a rental property owned by my grandfather. Thus, a series of events that unexpectedly came to light with Lucas's arrest finally settled down. Lucas initially claimed during the investigation that he wanted to protect my daughter and me, that he wanted to be our hero, but The woman he had sent to harass us denied this when questioned. They said it was all part of his self-promotion. Lucas, the youngest of 6 siblings, apparently had rarely had things go his way since he was little. That's why, after getting married and starting a family, he wanted to reign supreme, to have complete control over his wife and daughter. In the end, all the talk of being a hero was just lip service. He was only thinking about creating an image of himself as a protector, someone his family could rely on. His real goal was to control us by saying he would protect us, so we should obey him. Even his kindness to my daughter and me was all just to boost how others saw him. There was no love for us, just a terrifying realization that we were merely props in his performance. Now, I truly feel relieved that I have gotten away from him. Lucas was later only found guilty of obstructing official duties, although I was dissatisfied that only the charge against the police officer was acknowledged. In the end, Lucas was arrested, so there was no one else to tell.
Then a father's friend said, "What if the husband had intended to harm his wife and children, not just kidnap them? We couldn't get any cooperation in advance, but what if the children had been taken away because we were late this time? What if another incident occurred while we were passing the buck? Are we going to ignore something that could be prevented if no actual harm has occurred?"
Thanks to the warning to the active junior police officers, I feel a bit better now. Now my daughter and I are free from strange women, starting fresh and enjoying our life as a mother and daughter in a new place. My daughter seems to think that Lucas is just staying at the old house because he's busy with work. But when she's older, I plan to tell her about the divorce, keeping the details hidden. Peaceful days without the ex-husband knowing our information. The days ahead with my daughter will surely be wonderful.